was put into a barracks with, I would say, another 1,000 people, because there were these huge, huge barracks. And there were like 3 or 4 tiers of bunks where people would sleep. And we had a Jewish block ältester. A block ältester was a block leader who was a sadist and who was obviously a absolute schizoid, paranoid, God knows, you name it, he was that. Because I didn't know what he was doing. I knew what he was doing, but I didn't know why he was doing. He would hang little boys, but what he did at night. But of course, he would get little boys, he would abuse them, and then he would hang them. And every morning, when we would wake up, we would see 2 or 3 little boys hanging from the rafters. And he could do it because Majdanek was a law unto itself. And I was in Majdanek for about 3 or 4 months. And one day, and there were selections all the time for the guest chambers.
What happened at night in Majdanek?
I find it very difficult to talk about that. We had every block had a block ältester. The block ältester was the guy who was in charge of the block. And he could be Jewish, he could be German, he could be Czech, he could be anything. There were lots of nationalities in Majdanek. It could be Polish, it could be, I don't know, whoever was imprisoned there. It wasn't only Jews, it was mainly Jews, but there were some non-Jews. And at night, these couples and in cahoots with this block ältester, they would get drunk. I don't know where they got vodka or whatever. They got it, I suppose, from the Ukrainians, because people brought gold, and although even these guys, if they were caught with gold coins, they were shot. Life didn't mean anything. I mean, it was Dante's Inferno. So they used to go around looking for good-looking young children. And not only did they sodomize them, but they used to hang them. I mean, in my camp, in my block, the block ältester was a particular sadist, and he used to hang people. And every morning when you woke up, there were 1 or 2 young, good-looking children, usually, which he must have seen during the day or whatever, and he chose them, and they were hanging from the rafters. And they would be just say, well, they committed suicide. They would be taken out and thrown onto the heap, because there was always a heap of dead people, lying outside, which were removed the next morning. So those were they just, chucked them out. And this used to, so when you lay on those tiers, those wooden tiers at night, you were all the time, that I remember, shivering at night, wondering who's going to be next. Whether I'm going to be the next who's going to be taken. I didn't even realize what they were doing at the time. I mean, I know now, but I didn't realize that they were, because I didn't know anything from sex, from I didn't know anything. I mean, I was just an innocent religious child brought up in the bosom of his family. And it just didn't, and I can't get over that. I got over lots of things. But for prisoners to do that to the other prisoners, it's something that I've never been able to get over. I find it extremely difficult to talk about it. I find it extremely difficult to experience it. And usually when I talk about it, I get nightmares again. That's why I don't talk about it, because the nightmares come.